There's certain things that I won't let my students fail to excel at. You just got to be good at them, and triangle is one of them. Okay,
I
to me, the triangle is it's like close to the soul of jiu-jitsu. For me, the soul of jiu-jitsu is the use of your legs to wrestle against your opponent's upper body. That's one of the distinguishing characteristics of good jiu-jitsu. If I wrestle my upper body versus your upper body, it's just a battle of strengths. Okay, the stronger man wins. But if I can use my legs to fight your upper body, that's when weaker people start beating stronger people.
That makes sense.
And the triangle is the quintessential example of this. Okay, it's my legs versus your head and one arm. Okay, and I've got a good chance of winning that battle.
Do you feel the triangle is the strongest choke?
That's a great question. When you talk about the strongest strangle, there's two ways you can read this. It's like saying who lands or what's the heaviest punch. Okay, most people measure a punch as the punch leaves towards the target. What is the kinetic energy it generates? But that's not what's important. What's important is the kinetic energy upon impact. So, for example, I can throw a very, very strong punch, but if it hits my opponent's defensive arm, it doesn't actually transmit through to the target as it was intended. So the amount of energy delivered to the target can be quite low, even though the punch itself generated tremendous momentum. Then you can get another guy who throws a rather mild punch in terms of its momentum, but it lands precisely on the point of the target at the point when your opponent doesn't see it, and it'll knock him out immediately because the actual transfer of energy is efficient. Strangleholds are exactly the same. I can apply tremendous power with my legs, but if my alignment isn't correct, it'll be a weak stranglehold. Whereas I can apply a stranglehold with my arms, which may not equal the strength of my legs, but if it's applied accurately, and it's much easier with the arms, it'll be a very tight stranglehold. So what I will say is that the triangle offers incredible potential for powerful strangles, provided your positioning is good. So yes, it offers the most potential, but in actuality, it's because alignment is always a problem in a live competitive situation. It doesn't really have, a massive superiority of strangle power over arm methods.
I think this is our fifth video series we shot today.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've noticed so much about your grappling is how much you use the legs to augment the arms. You certainly did with the Kimura system, with the back system, and it's almost like you're looking for unfair fights.
Yes. If there's one thing which distinguishes excellence in jiu-jitsu, is that you do all of your grappling with a preponderance of legs. Anytime you're relying on your hands, arms, and shoulders to get the work done, you're going to fatigue quickly, and you'll never beat someone bigger than yourself. You've always got to work with the legs first, everything else second. So even a lock like Kimura, which is ostensibly my two arms versus his arm, most of the horsepower comes from your legs and hips. And so you've always got to think, where are my legs and hips working? How am I maximizing the use of my legs and hips in any given move? I believe this is true across all combat sports. In jiu-jitsu, it's a little more direct, however, because you actually get from guard position, for example, to physically use your legs to latch onto people and move them with your legs. But you'll notice that as much as possible, what I coach is the idea of using all four of your limbs at the same time, with a particularly heavy emphasis on the use of the legs to initiate contact.
Yeah, and John, when you were talking about like how when you know how to use your legs really well, that's when the small guy can beat the big guy. One question that we receive a lot, and we actually received it just today on our Facebook from Jay Page, is like on tips about who has shorter legs to lock the triangle and who has like a bigger upper body or it's a very heavy opponent and that. And I saw in the system today that you talk a lot about that, that the triangle is for everyone. It's not only for who has very long legs, because everybody talks about like, oh, this guy has a very long leg, so triangle is going to be great for him. But you also see like guys with shorter legs doing very well, right?
Yes.
And this was a big part of it. So can you talk a little bit about how do you...
That was Jay who asked that question?
Yeah.
Jay, that's a question I get asked almost every day. It's a perfectly natural question, and one which deserves a response in some depth. First, let's set limits on the answer. When you think of the ideal body type to lock a triangle, If I could design a human being to be a master of the triangle strangle, the lower body would be one of long, thin, and yet very strong legs. Okay? I know many of you, when you hear my response, will say long, thin, strong legs. That's the opposite of me. I've got short, thick legs. Okay? That's the ideal. That doesn't exclude you from excellence in the use of the triangle stranglehold. It just represents an ideal. Every body type has a set of moves towards which it naturally gravitates. But the historical record is full of great athletes who defied people's expectations based on their body type as to what they would be good at. You can be one of these too. Yes, the length of your legs does play a role in your ability to lock a triangle. It is, in my belief, an advantage to have long, thin legs. And if I was going to design someone to be a triangle expert, yes, that's what I would go with. Nonetheless, don't sell yourself short. There are going to be a large number of instances where you will be able to go far beyond what you thought you were capable of with your physique and get through to a triangle win. I assure you of this. The number one determinant of whether or not your legs are long enough to get the job done on an opponent who's broad through the shoulders or what have you is not the length of your legs, it's the alignment and positioning of your body. In particular, what needs to happen is you need to expel your opponent's shoulder or exclude your opponent's shoulder from the lock of your triangle. As much as possible, you only want to incorporate your opponent's neck and one arm into the lock of your triangle. The moment you start incorporating more of his body mass than just the neck and the arm, that's when the problems start. When you're trying to strangle both his neck, his shoulder girdle, and his arm, that's a problem. Then short-legged people are going to be shut out. But if you can always manipulate your body positioning and angle to only lock around the neck and one arm and be disciplined in your application of this, you are going to shock yourself with how many times you can apply a stranglehold, even on people you didn't think you could do so. Is your body type ideal? No. However, you can still be highly proficient in the use of triangles, especially within your own weight class with someone who's not 2, 3, 4 weight classes above. I've had many students who had quite short legs. In fact, I'm one of them myself. I'm 5 foot, just a little shy of 5'11". I always lie and say 6 foot, so I'm kidding. And I have short legs for my height. And so my body is far from ideal. I also have a hip replacement, which makes flexibility something of an issue. And I also have a crippled leg that doesn't even straighten. And yet I can lock triangles on people considerably bigger than myself just through good alignment. Would I go first for a triangle on someone who was 6'5" and had shoulders like Gordon Ryan? No, I wouldn't. There's other things I could do. But anyone within my own weight category or 1 or 2 above, absolutely, it's a move I would employ. Remember, the number one determinant is your body positioning and the angle that you can get upon your opponent. Number 2 is a surprising one. People who are very generously built through the stomach and their waist is perhaps a little wider than they ought to be have a difficulty bringing their knees to their chest. And that turns out in many cases to be more of an impediment to your ability to lock a triangle than the length of your legs. If you ask me to put in order of importance what will stop you from locking a triangle, I would say number 1 by a landslide is bad body positioning and angle. Number 2 is excessive waist size. And number 3 is short leg length. Now, only one of those 3 is something you can't change. You can't change the length of your legs. But you can change the size of your waist, and you can definitely and quite easily change the body position and angle when you go in to apply a triangle. So there's 3 factors ranked in order of importance. And of those 3, the 2 most important, you are fully in control of. And the 3rd that you don't control is the least important. So keep that in mind. Yes, leg length does play a role, but not nearly as much as most people would have you believe. Okay? Work a lot on the study of angle and positioning and keep your waistline under control, and you'll find you can triangle a lot of people that you previously thought were impossible.